nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us go hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. This also goes for every Trinbagonian who want to live in a foreign land. Now is the time to come home and do something, instead of staying out there and freezing.
Yes, now is the time to come home and do something. Let's build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique together. I want to welcome you to the Dynamic Hour. And those on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off this morning by saying it's very difficult to compete with Intercall and the viewership. Very, very difficult to do that. I am not going to compete with that, and hence the reason I was not on last night. And tonight, I would not be on again. Right, but I am on the program, Zoe. So you have to wait. All right? Yeah. So close the door. Right. So, and tonight, I will not be on again because, that's the finals. Okay? So I think most people understand what is at play at this point. Everyone following Intercall back in the past school or current school, or back in the school of the kids or children. That's what it is. It's Intercall time, and people are more focused there. But I want to say this. Last evening or yesterday, Emlyn Pear made a post regarding Imani trainees, and it caught the attention of some people because Grenadians kind of move away from this Imani thing. During the NNP time, it was the everything to them, where they were training or they had young people in different placements, different places, and they were giving them $700, and some of those young people remain in that program for 5 years, 6 years. Although the program was meant for 18 months, right? Just under 2 years. I'm saying, even if they pass the 18 months and they make 2 years, and then they transition into actual jobs or the field of work, actual work, getting a salary, then that's something different. But they kept these young people in the Imani training program that's supposed to be for 18 months, for 5 years and 6 years. They remain in that program. And eventually, many of those young people thought it was a work, collecting $700 every month until they reach old age. So the NNP always used that as a trump card. Every time around the election, it was about the Imani, every time, right? And after a while, people get fed up with this thing because they know what they were doing to these Imani trainees. They were exploiting them. They were taking advantage of them. They were abusing their vulnerability. And over time, people get fed up with that. That is why the last election proved that young people wanted better. They wanted betterment. So when the NDC came into power, the NDC said, look, we're going to transition you. We're going to make sure that you move from that program to a place of work in the private sector or in the public sector. It was announced by the permanent secretary in the Human Resource Department, right? That the Imani trainees, those within the public sector, government, they will be assessed, they will be appraised, they will be evaluated, and those who meet that grade will be made permanent coming to the end of this year. But in the meanwhile, there are some people who are in places that they don't want to be, all right, or they shouldn't be. They want to start their own like a business. They want to be somewhere else, be a tailor, be a seamstress, be a carpenter, be a mason. They want to be in agriculture. They want to be in tourism, some field there. So what the government or the ministry decided to do is to, remove those who are in places that they don't want to be and redeploy them or put them in some other areas. But they're still collecting their $1,200. So firstly, the government increased the stipend from $700 that the NNP was giving them to $1,200. All right. So, and that's a good thing. They're getting more money. And coming to the end of this year, many of them will be made permanent. So 37 of them or so were removed from where they were placed previously and they were redeployed, right? Placed in other areas or told that they will be going in other areas. Well, some of them, they are still loyal to the NNP. So Emlyn Pay got word that a number of them were no longer in their placement, and some will be redeployed into other areas. Some will start their own liquor business and so on, given support. So she then went on Facebook and she posted, after promising all Imani permanent jobs, some more were recently sent home. Please reconsider. I mean, it's just stupid to think that you being a trainee, right, that everyone training could get permanent jobs. All right? It's just stupid to think so. But she doesn't know the full details of what transpired, and she wants to be relevant. She wants to be relevant. When the NDC increased the stipend from $700 to $1,200 for the same Imani trainees, she didn't come out and say, that's a good thing that the government did. I want to applaud the actions of the government by increasing the stipend of the Imani trainees. No, she did not. In fact, I remember Kate Lewis making certain statements as though they were upset that that took place, or try to make people believe that that was in place before, when that was not in place before. But anyways, that is how the NNP operates. When something is good, they don't come out and commend it or applaud it, acknowledge it. No, in fact, people would have had more respect for this woman if she came out and say, well, it's a good thing that the government did to increase the stipend of the Imani trainees from $700 to $1,200. That's a good thing. And it's a good thing that the government is doing when they announced that they would make permanent those Imani trainees who, after being appraised, after being assessed, meet the requirement within the public service. And it would have been a good thing if she came out and say, well, the NDC administration did a good thing to re-register all the Imanis from batch 1 to batch 8 to make sure those that in the system, that they are re-registered and that you know what area they're interested in, what they want to be, what they want to become, some of their concerns, some of the issues and that kind of stuff. It would have been a good thing to come out and applaud that, right? Because the NDC didn't make these people go, didn't remove these people. No, they did not. But Emlyn Pe never came forward and applaud anything. But when 37 Imani trainees are removed from the previous placements and are being redeployed to other more meaningful opportunities, and in some cases even starting a little business and so on, and still receiving that $1,200 stipend, she comes out, she puts a post out there trying to be relevant. Now it's intercall time, but she feels lonely, she wants to be relevant, and she back with this Imani thing again. But here it is. The NDC has moved from just this Imani thing. All right? You have Elevate Her, where a number of young people are receiving personal attention, personal care, personal guidance, young women to become something.
After a robust registration process, the second phase of Elevate Her project has commenced with orientation of selected participants. Elevate Her is a new initiative of the Division of Youth designed to support unemployed and underemployed young women who seek training for sustainable employment opportunities. More from Karine Mooring Alexander.
The orientation of participants of the Elevate Her program began on Wednesday. The initiative, spearheaded by the Division of Youth, focuses on equipping young women with skills in 3 key areas: hospitality, health, and agriculture. During the orientation, the participants underwent preliminary assessments and interviews conducted by service providers in their respective fields of interest, supported by the Grenada National Training Agency, GNTA. Coordinator of Youth Colin Perryman expressed her optimism about the program's impact and the success of its participants. She emphasized that orientation plays a crucial role in preparing them for the training ahead.
We want this program to be successful. We do not want it to be another training cycle. We want to ensure that there is proper alignment between what it is that the participant want to do, what it is that they want to see for themselves in terms of their economic development and their economic sustainability. So we don't want to just tell them these are the areas and we're just putting persons here, there, etc. without their involvement. So what we're doing here today is meeting with our stakeholders, our service providers, and meeting with the selected participants to have a pre-interview with them as to the specific areas that they are interested in, and to make sure that there is proper alignment between what it is that they're going to be trained in and their interest and their skill set that they're going to be coming into the program with.
The youth coordinator congratulates the successful applicants of the Elevate Her project and encouraged them to be confident in their pursuit to become better versions of themselves.
I want to say congratulations to all the young ladies who were selected to be part of the program. I want to encourage them to try their best, to put out their best, put their best foot forward. I want to encourage them to show up, show out, and show off at the end of the program, show off their best ability, best of what it is that they're learning, their best version of themselves. So when it comes time to placement, when it comes time to permanent engagement, that there is no reason as to why they cannot be a best fit. There is no reason as to why they can't contribute further to the development of the organization in which they will be applying for permanent engagement in.
The participants are grateful for this life-changing opportunity.
I feel very lucky, but I know my strengths and my weakness, so I knew that I would have succeeded in getting the opportunity to do that. And also I feel blessed because prayers work miracles, of course, yes.
You prayed for this?
Yes.
I feel great actually to know that I stand a chance of creating a future for myself.
It feels great to be selected because it's a great program and it's here to help the youths of all the communities. So yes, it's a great program.
The official launch of the Elevator project follows after the orientation process to be held on April 15th, 2025 in
Right,
St. Andrew.
right, in St. Andrew. So maybe Emlyn Pay could be enrolled in that program too. She needs that. And it will be in St. Andrew, in Big Parish, in the parish that her constituency is located in. So maybe they could enroll Emlyn Pay in the Elevator program. It's a very good program. They're given a stipend, they're given specialized assistance so that they can get into the area that they want to get into, that they're passionate about, that they love. And it's quite a number of young women, as part of that program. So we have gone past just the Imani talk. The Imani program is still there. Uh, the Imani trainees, they're placed in in positions that, in career paths that they want to be a part of. Then you have the Empower program, a program that started under the previous administration. And the NDC administration saw the good in it. They continue with that program and they increase the stipend for the participants in that program and also the grant. They increase that for them too.
Government is answering the call of the young people of Grenada to create the enabling environment for them to thrive. More than 300 young men in the Empower 4.0 program will see an increase in their stipend and a further increase in the grant allocation on completion of the program. Minister for Youth, Honorable Delma Thomas, made the announcement during the program's quarterly meeting on Thursday, which marked the end of the soft skills component and signaled the start of the direct skills component.
I remember vividly you raised the issue that your stipend was small. So I do have an announcement that as a cabinet, we have approved $1,000 for the stipend as of the 1st of December. Yes, but remember you was getting 7, they was keeping 1. So you will now get 9. And the 1 will be kept until the end of the program. But you're already getting that, so we're giving you 9 now. And I am also pleased to announce that those who are going to be completing the program, we had $2,400 for those who are going to set up their own business. Cabinet has also approved an increase of $3,000. You see, young people, we listen to you because that's our responsibility. If we are representing you, then we have to listen to your cries and be able to work with you to provide the necessary support so that you can be better men for your families, your mother, and your wives to be.
The young men are on their way to becoming greater men, looking forward to conquering their fears and following their dreams to make a better life for themselves and their families. During the meeting, the young men used the opportunity to showcase what they have learned in the soft skills component.
Again, that's the Empower program. It's almost 400 young men who are part of that program. So the Elevate Her program is geared towards women. All right? Geared towards women. And the Empower program is geared towards men. What the NDC did was introduce the Elevate Her program. And they kept the Empower program from the previous administration. They increased the number of people in the program, the number of young men in the program, and they increased the stipend. So the stipend that they used to get was $700, just as the Imani trainees they increased that stipend to $1,000. But what they normally do is to keep 100. So when they were getting $700, they were giving them 600 under the NNP, and they would keep 100. So when they complete the program, they would get that 100 for the couple months that they're in the program. All right. But also the grant, so they can start their own business, so they can get off from the ground and do their thing. When they complete the program, they were given $2,400 under the NNP. The NDC increased that to $3,000. When they complete the program, they will get $3,000 to start off, to help them to get off from the ground. All right. So again, it's a plus for the young men and young women. All right. But the NNP, MLNP will not come out and commend that initiative by the NDC administration. And here it is, the participants during the consultative process and engagement of the Empower program suggested that there should be an increase in the stipend. The government listened and increased that. And also the grant, they listened and they increased that. That's the way to go. But Emlyn Pear would not come out and applaud the government for doing that. No, it's not in her interest to do such. But the NDC has plenty initiatives and programs for young people. All right. We also know about the youth in agriculture program. There's one for women. There is one for the men. All right. Youth in agriculture.
Close to 100 young people across the country are scheduled to commence training in 3 fields of agriculture, which includes crop production, livestock, and agro-processing. This is being made possible through the implementation of the Young Entrepreneurs in Agriculture and Agribusiness Project, a 3-year pilot project jointly funded by the Government of Grenada, CARICOM Development Fund, and the Grenada Development Bank. The orientation for this training was held on Tuesday in St. David. Cindy Lewis, project manager, explained this training will assist young people by providing the training and finances to establish or grow their agribusinesses.
It has been in the pipeline for a while, and we are happy that you are here today. This aspect, the project caters for training, and we are happy that this aspect, the orientation of the agriculture entrepreneurship training, kicks off today. After the training, that you will be able to start your own businesses, and we would provide the assistance for you in terms of getting your business plans, and we will also provide funding for you to start your businesses.
Janesta Charles from the National Training Agency says the trainings will support young people who...
Yeah, and that is what you want. You want to help the young people to start their own thing. Because you see, under the NNP, they made the young people believe that they have to work for somebody. But the young people are now realizing they could actually become the employer. They could actually have their own little business, making money, taking care of their family, and making serious progress. So this agribusiness, this agriculture, youth in agriculture, 100 young people receiving the training, receiving the financing to start their own business, receiving the guidance, receiving the support. That is what you want. That's a 3-year program. That is what you want. You want to be able to help young people to start their own thing, not being a Imani training program for 5 years when it was meant for 2 years. A 2-year program, like it's a 2-year cycle. Every 2 years, then you bring in some more people, and you kept these young people there for 5 years and 6 years and 7 years, the most productive time in their life as a young person. it's, and, you know, Emmeline Pear should be ashamed of herself. But I believe her shame played brick. So don't expect that. And then you have another initiative, Women in Agriculture.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Forestry and Marine Resources has launched an innovative new project aimed at enhancing agricultural production across the country, focusing on vegetable farming, sea moss production, apiculture, and agro-processing led by women. Titled
it only
Gender
tells you where we want to
Responsive
go
and
to.
Climate Smart Agriculture and Food Systems in the Caribbean, the project seeks to empower women and youth to build climate resilience in agriculture. The official launch took place at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort, attracting a diverse group of agro-processors for an inception workshop. The workshop featured presentations from experts who shared insights on Grenada's vegetable production, the sea moss and apiculture value chains, and various agro-processing opportunities. It aims to build capacity, promote climate-smart technologies, strengthen market linkages, and address gender-related challenges in agriculture. Funded by Canada to the tune of $7.3 million and implemented by the FAO, this initiative is set to run over the next 4 years.
Right. So that's a 4-year program. So the first one was a 3-year program. All right. So the first one, Youth in Agriculture, 100 young people. That's a 3-year program, and it cost $3 million. Right. And then the Women in Agriculture, that cost $7 million. So you're looking at $10+ million in youth in agriculture, women and male and female. All right, helping them to get into agro processing, helping them to start their own farm, hydroponics and that kind of thing, helping them to plant and harvest and do the bookkeeping and make sure that everything is in line. This is what you want. This is this thing about Imani, and this kind of thinking. That was back then, that's under NNP. The young people want to, be able to create jobs and create opportunities. That is what they want to do. And that is what the NDC is actually doing, making sure that the young people are empowered. Then you have the workforce, the digital workforce initiative. When our beloved Prime Minister went to Canada, he engaged the right people and he was able to get 100 young people in this particular area dealing with cybersecurity, dealing with data analysis, dealing with, everything communication technology, all right, or information communication technology. And that was launched after they complete the training, straight to work for them.
I visited Toronto in February of this year, and I met by chance with the Minister for International Cooperation and Development, Minister Ahmed Hussein, and I actually went as part of Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence at an event hosted by the Grenadians in Toronto. And Minister was invited to that event. And he referred me to someone who in turn referred me to someone who in turn referred me to Claudette. And as a result of that conversation, we are really here today. And you always, Thomas is one of my middle names, so I'm doubting Thomas. So you always want proof that something can be done. And we had proof that it was being done in Barbados. Soon thereafter, we were in Guyana, and a similar initiative was taking place. And so I was satisfied that we had the proof we needed to ensure that it could happen in Grenada as well. And so I want to congratulate all of those who've worked behind the scenes tirelessly to make this happen. I'm a politician, so particularly for cyber security professionals, I want you to understand there's no such thing as a free lunch. The government is financing this training program to the tune of approximately 2 million EC dollars and counting. So we are investing in you. We are investing in your training ultimately so that you get the opportunity to invest in yourselves, invest in your family, invest in your country, and to become an asset to your country and an asset to yourself. So when we talk about our focus on training, when we talk about our focus on what I will call unorthodox, non-traditional education, this is testimony to it. So we are committed to making sure that we don't just talk the talk, but that we put the necessary resources in place to make sure that this happens. And for that, I want to particularly thank the NTRC, and the chairman of the board of the NTRC, Mr. Vincent Roberts, is here in person, because when I called him to say, we have this program, we need to get it financed, and I hope you can find the money, he in very short order found the money. And so again, we are here today because of their resourcefulness and their willingness to support the training of our population. And two of my colleague ministers are here. I also want to thank the Cabinet of Grenada for ensuring that this happened, because at the end of the day, without their support, we would not be in a position to launch this program.
Yes, so you're talking about 100 young people given the training, and straight away, when they complete the training, they will find employment, not just here, but in Canada. That assurance was given. So the government investing $2 million towards that training. And because they all are getting a computer, a laptop computer, and some other things, right? To make sure that they complete the training, given assistance, all the materials required. So that is the direction that this government is going. The NDC is going in a different direction to make sure that these young people get the opportunity to own a livelihood, to start their own business, to become employers, to become something. Look at the creatives, young people again, 100% concession, grant support, financing, training. We can go on and on.
As you know, the creative industry, while it might just look as entertaining, but it's a very expensive industry.
The biggest problem that we face in the industry is the availability of equipment. Even after you buy them, there's this high cost to get it into the country, especially if it's something big.
Some of the biggest challenges that I've faced in the space at the time, really and truly, I mean, most creatives face the same issues of being able to access tools, access knowledge, access resources in a space where some of it doesn't exist.
For me, this 100% concession gives me an opportunity to expand my business, and it will give me an opportunity to take my business in the direction that I've envisioned it over the last few years.
These are young people, you know, young people telling you about their business and the opportunities that will become available with all the concession, all the training, all the financing. That is what you want. You don't want young people to just grow up thinking that they have to work with government or work with somebody. You want to empower them. You want to help them. You want them to blossom. You want them to bloom. You want them to expand. You want them to be able to create jobs and opportunities.
The 100% concession given by government towards the creative industry is going to help us a very long way. It simply means that we can invest more in ourselves and more into the business.
Well, the 100% allows us to level up a little. We have access to more stuff, more equipment, and that gives us the vibes to keep pushing and keep, as I said, leveling up the thing a little bit more, so that we get that internationally recognized quality, whether it's in movie and film or in music or drama or whatever it is. We have that access to things that allow us to do that.
Previously, we had the taxes that we have to pay on every piece of the item that we bring in. I think it's like 44.4 or something like that. Don't quote me on it. But now that we have 100% concession, you can buy tools, equipment, resources, software. You can even engage more human resource personnel to come into your business. So that means you can really expand.
I think that this initiative by the government to allow 100% concession for creative is indeed a step in the right direction.
Yeah, these are young people. Young people, most of them I know. And that's just some as part of this uh, promo piece or as part of this information sharing video. But we have a lot of creatives in this country benefiting from this. And it must be known. It must be known to all and sundry that the government is helping young people up, not just giving them a hand out. That is what you want. So Emlyn Pay talking about Imani, that's under Keith Mitchell and NNP. Come on, the Imani trainees, they're happy that they're getting more money as a stipend. And they're placed in areas that they like, that they want to be in. And the program is for 18 months and it will remain for 18 months. If the program is for 2 years, it's for 2 years. When you complete, you exit, you transition to the place of work, actual work. That is what you want. So Emlyn Pay talking about Imani trainees and Imani, she's stale. She's old school. Been there, done that. That's history. You know. But anyways, folks, the youth parliamentarians again. You have so many young people who got sworn in here as youth parliamentarians are the first time in the history of this thing where their voices can be heard, they can represent their constituents, the young people in each constituency, and they can speak on their behalf. The NDC is serious about youth development and progress.
It was a historic day at the Grenada Houses of Parliament as the first elected national youth parliamentarians were sworn in. These 14 young leaders were successfully elected in the recently held national youth elections and were tasked with an opportunity to represent the young people in their constituencies on a national level for the next 2 years. During the ceremony, they were presented with their assigned parliamentary portfolios and took the oath of office. The 14 young people also gave their maiden speech as official national youth parliamentary representatives. These young individuals are focused on making a difference in the lives of young people they will represent. GBN spoke to a few of the representatives outside of Parliament about what they will tackle first within their respective constituencies. First elected National Youth Prime Minister Joshua Andal said now that they have taken the oath of office, fulfilling the needs of their constituents is what he hopes can be achieved by the end of their 2-year stint.
So for my team, the next thing would be for us to go through the process that the Ministry of Youth would have first, which is to train us in capacity building, specifically pertaining to grant proposals and how to write specific grant proposals, so we'd be able to use the $5,000 that they would be allocating for us per year efficiently to the best way possible, so that we'd be able to carry out and create the initiatives that we want to do to have, the most impact that we can possibly have. And my first point of duty, now that I'm sworn in, would be to first of all develop, like I mentioned in my speech, to develop something similar to a youth council within my constituency, with individuals representing different parts of the constituency, the different villages and communities, so I'd be able to have not only a better understanding as to the different, I would say, difficulties, what they're facing, their struggles, but they would be able to help me assist in carrying out the specific projects that I like to carry out.
With a number of projects outlined in her maiden speech, Leader of the Opposition Amanda Japal George says she feels honored to be entrusted with such a responsibility and to be a voice for the voiceless.
Well, my first initiative actually happened already. I held an independence quiz in St. Andrew Southeast and St. Giles actually.
And you know what's unique? This young lady, she's an NNP supporter. Well-known NNP supporter. But this government is not looking at their politics. No. The government is looking at young people and creating opportunities, creating platforms for them to be able to express themselves and do things for other young people. That is the uniqueness of this government. They could have simply said, well, this young lady, she's an NNP. She interviews Keith Mitchell talking rubbish many a times, and she would not meaningfully contribute? No, they did not. No, across the board. They allow the young people to go and campaign and become something and let people vote and elect them and support them and that kind of thing. That's what you want. It's just different. And in fact, she's from, I think, Emlyn Pear's constituency, I think so.
Came first, and so what I'm looking
to help me assist in carrying out the specific projects that I like to carry out.
With a number of projects outlined in her maiden speech, Leader of the Opposition Amanda Japal George says she feels honored to be entrusted with such a responsibility and to be a voice for the voiceless.
Well, my first initiative actually happened already. I held an independence quiz in St. Andrew Southeast, and St. Giles actually came first. And so what I'm looking to do now is more leadership training, entrepreneurship, business training. What I did within my constituency is I made a note of the things that each village requires, because every village is different. So my initiatives would be tailored to suit the villages that I would be going in. So my first initiative would be mental health initiatives, mental health workshops, leadership forums, and empowerment for youth.
Parliamentary Representative for St. George South, Jonathan Mitchell, said today marked a very important milestone for him, indicating that he was a bit nervous at first, but quickly overcame it. Financial literacy will be his first point of duty.
But the most important thing I would say is this marks important time in the youth development, Grenada's history in terms of having a youth election. And I'm looking forward to working along with my colleagues and working along with the Ministry of Youth and Sports and all the stakeholders so we can better the youth development within our country. The first thing I want to embark on is something small but effective. It's a financial seminar. So I have a guest speaker who is savvy in terms of the finance area, and she was living here and she moved abroad. So I want to have a seminar on that. I decided to have something like that first off because it's not too complicated to pull off as a first initiative, and we see the importance of financial literacy.
Establishing a network of young people in every polling division is the strategy Akim Bradley Williams, the St. George Northeast constituency representative, intends to use in achieving his goal.
Yes, so the National Youth Parliament, they were elected. They went out there, they campaign, they solicit the votes of young people, and they were sworn in, and it's just different. They're given a platform to speak on behalf of young people. That is what you want. Let's move away from Emlyn Pear and this Imani nonsense that she's talking about, because, we have moved on from that, really and truly. We have moved on from that. I was impressed when I saw the whole TVET teachers and so on receiving some almost close to $500,000 worth of tools to equip them to handle, the whole program. I was very impressed with that.
The Ministry of Education has made a major investment in tools and equipment for the Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET program in primary schools on the island. However, they are not the only ones benefiting, as the ministry aims to strengthen capacity at TVET centers across Grenada, get at developing skill sets among youth. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Elvis Moraine, said, in order to ensure safety, proper use and maintenance of the tools, teachers will undergo a series of training sessions. The intention is to extend it beyond the 10 primary schools that now provide the TVET program.
And it was difficult for us to get those equipment in time, because as you know, many of you would know that those they're not readily stocked on island. So we had to work with a company to procure those equipment out of Germany. So you're getting quality equipment. We have just completed our series of engagements with teachers. And most of the engagements ask for hands-on, that kind of expansion, skills and skills development. And we believe we are well positioned. Also, we have the backing of the cabinet because there's a strategy, and there are a lot of things that have gone beyond the scene to get to this point. But critical is where you are, different levels as we go forward.
Education Minister Senator David Andrew highlighted the overall amount invested in the tools and upgraded equipment.
The ministry has expended just over $222,211 to procure the equipment for the primary schools alone. Here, over $222,000 to procure what you're looking at for the 10 centers. But not only that, we have spent also at the secondary level. We spent in excess of $92,000 to upgrade the equipment at the secondary schools level. Even for Carriacou Petit Martinique, we have spent over $4,000 to replace equipment damaged during Ivan. Beryl.
The Education Minister said that their intent is to further expand into centers of excellence with guaranteed job placement upon completion of studies in various fields, adding that by Form 3, students should have a clear idea as to which skilled area they want to pursue.
It's clear that there have been gaps, but we know we have to address them. There are gaps to the extent that we are not producing enough of the skilled persons we need for the world of work. Our system probably didn't allow it. But we are intentional about increasing. But not only that, we have moved on to project and plan to have centers of excellence targeting skills. And we mean having dedicated centers for particular areas that students can pursue careers in skilled areas up to the highest level at those centers as part of their routine educational journey. That we hope will kick in after third form at the secondary level.
Each center will receive the full complement of tools with plans to enhance security of the centers to ensure the safety of the equipment. The minister said 2 new centers will be opened in St. George and the tools to outfit them are already secured. Christina John, GBN News.
Yes, that's a good news item there. Because remember, only yesterday we highlighted the TVET program in the primary schools. And then on the news last night, I saw this piece by GBN where over $500,000 invested in equipment, new equipment for the teachers and the folks involved in that program. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing, you know, wetting the taste buds, as we would say, wetting the beak of the young, so that they would get a little taste of the thing at a primary school level. So if they want to go into carpentry, they would kind of get a taste of it. If they want to go into masonry, they will get a taste of it. Interior designing, you know, if they want to be a joiner, all right? If they want to be a plumber or an electrician, if they want to be something in that field, they could get a little taste. If they want to be a chef, they could get a little taste of it at a primary school level. So a lot is happening. The government is reshaping this whole thing step by step by step, because it was just academics. You go and you pass some subjects and then you fight to get a work somewhere. That is what it was. But things are changing gradually. And that is why I say, give the NDC more time, and then you would see how this place will be transformed. I'm really, really happy to see what is happening. Folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program. And, you know, I have my 2 kids with me here, my 2 children. And, you know, luckily, this morning, Zilly came and she handed me this. She said, "I love you, Daddy. You're the best." And she said, "Open me." So, you know, she wrote that down, "Open me." She said, "You're the best. You care for me and Zoe." Thank you, Zilly. All right. So Zilly wrote that this morning. I saw her on the bed doing her writing and thing, you know. So she wanted to write it just in time. So she did that this morning. So big up your whole self, Zilly, Princess Zilly. Many a times you don't see her. You know, Zoe is the more, you know, aggressive one who would come in the studio and make sure that her presence is felt. She came here already because she wants ice cream for she and Zilly early o'clock. All right. And she makes sure she asking for she and her sister. And it's what it is. All right. But Zilly is bigger, and she, people who followed me from the start of the program, you would appreciate, you would know how Zilly used to operate. I had to force her to say something. All right. And but she was always in the studio 7 years ago, 6 years ago. She was small. And I was in a different location. She was always in, crawling and coming in, and they always cling on to their father. But it's what it is. So thank you very much, Zilly, there for that. How sweet, how nice. I appreciate it. So, folks, have a nice day. I'll be back with you on Friday morning because, Intercall last day. Let the folks enjoy themselves and let Emlyn stay and quarrel about Imani trainees. Ain't have time for that. All right? Take good care. I wish all the teams the best, and may the best team or may the best two teams, because you have one in the girls category and one in the boys category, or one in the female category and one in the male category. So may the best team in the female category win, and may the best team in the male category win. All right. So far, GBSS in the male category looking good, and SAS. So the competition there, and folks may underestimate how close this thing is. Because remember, when they start the relays, once they start the relays, and GBSS had a mess up yesterday in one of the relays in the heats and so on, so you never know. But so far, GBSS is looking as though they're going to take the trophy. But SAS is right there, and St. David's Catholic Secondary is kind of blowout. I think the fight is between Anglican High School and some other school for second place, but it's kind of blowout there. So let's wish them all the best, all the schools, all